Wouldn't it be nice if you could just make learning part of your day? Not necessarily have to sit down and do schoolwork or have tears over what's happening, but if you could just incorporate learning and give your children a healthy habit lifestyle of learning, that'd be pretty great. I have a couple tips that might help this out. First, be selective about what you're doing with your time. If you're okay with your kids watching TV, I'm okay with my kids watching TV, but I'm very selective on what they watch. We don't necessarily waste our time on just like your average Saturday morning cartoons. I have found and selected educational shows, and my kids kind of don't really know the difference most of the time. That's what they think TV is, because that's what we've done from the beginning. Let them watch educational things. A lot of kids are very visual. They will remember things very well through that. And so make sure they're not zombies and not overdoing it. But man, I am amazed by the things that my kids tell me that they have learned. So good. What are you reading or listening to in the car on your way to get groceries? Now, there are some excellent history resources that are books, right? I mean, you don't even need a history curriculum. You just have to pick up good living books, as Charlotte Mason refers to them. You could listen to them in your car. There are also podcasts that you could listen to in your car that are based on science, and they're engaging and fun for your kids. Perhaps when your husband is putting your kids to bed at night, if that's a thing, he could be reading one of these history living books to them. And you could sneak your history in here. You don't need to do it between the hours of 9 and 3. You can do it during bedtime stories. Even math, Life of Fred, bedtime math. There are lots of options of sneaking these things in some other ways. Games are an excellent way to practice math. Maybe you only do a worksheet or do a lesson once or twice a week, and besides that, you're doing games, or you're working in the kitchen, or you're doing architecture things through different books that are take measurements. There's all kinds of options to sneak learning in. Involve your kids in what you're doing. This can be budgeting, grocery shopping, cooking. We've covered some of that already. But then what about at the dinner table when you are all together? Instead of talking about this like really deep thing that we learned about through our book right after it happened and everybody's just fidgety and wants to keep going, wait until dinner time. Tell Dad what we talked about today. What did you guys think about this? I've kind of been questioning this that we read throughout the day, or I learned this today. What did you guys learn? Bring it into your conversations throughout the day, maybe dinner time, maybe when you're just out on a family walk. There's other opportunities to do the review. I know a lot of moms are really gonna get hesitant when I say this next one, but I've really found it to work. So one thing I like to do is when I know that we're going to be learning about a specific topic, I like to get a little ahead of the game. Find ways for myself to be getting involved and learning more ahead of time so that I can just pass on the knowledge that I have been learning. And so that's my cat's tail. Hi. Get your tail out of here. So learn it yourself and then pass on. Hey, I learned this. When you're out on a walk, point out the flower and how the flower seeds and pollinates and does its thing right there on the spot, rather than having to do the one-page front and back out of a workbook. Just incorporate it right in. Yes, this does take prep work. Yes, it is like a teacher's manual and you are reading it ahead of time. But now your kids are like involved and interested, and you're showing them that you are still learning, that learning is a fun thing, that it's lifelong. So if you want your kids to be lifelong learners, you're gonna have to lead by example. When we're with our kids all day long, we don't have to try to cram lessons into a specific amount of time. We can be flexible. They can go off and play and come back and read a book. They can go off and play and come back and practice piano. There are things that they can do just in ebb and flows all day. And I've actually seen my kids go off and play and come back and start reading on their own because they've developed that habit of learning that, one, they like reading, two, they need to read, and three, I had a 3. I don't remember what it was. Like it's a good thing to do. I don't know. Anyway, you get the point. So I think that if we can get outside of our box of thinking like what the public schools do and what education is supposed to look like, we can really incorporate it in some beautiful ways that can help our kids to not have tears during school time, school work. Honestly, guys, I think my kids have only cried ever like twice. One was frustration because I was a learning mom, and the other time was because he just really wanted to figure it out and he was frustrated he couldn't, and I had to make him go take a break. This learning method works, and you can incorporate it in your house too. Ask me any questions down in the comments. Here is the next video that you might want to check out, and another, because why not? Thanks so much. I'll see you next time. Bye.